How do you make sure that you always have people available to work for you and you have a full team? So today we're going to talk about recruiting and different ways of recruiting. My name is Jean-Guy Talbot, and on this channel, what we do is we discuss points of interest as it relates to running a better business, but mostly to the point of running a better accounting or bookkeeping practice. One of the questions I probably get the most often as a mentor is recruiting. Everybody's looking for people and wondering, where do I find these good candidates? And part of the problem, I think a lot of accounting and bookkeeping firms, as well as most businesses out there for that matter, is they only recruit when they need someone. I believe that recruiting is a full-time job that you do year-round. So it's just like marketing. You don't just market at certain times of the year. Marketing is something you do all the time. So by the same token, recruiting is something you should be doing year-round. So what I mean by that is take every opportunity to get in front of students, to get in front of people, and explain to them the benefits of working for your organization, and do that year-round all the time, even when you're not looking. Because basically what you want is to have a filing cabinet full of resumes that you can pick from whenever you need someone to hire. So recruiting is something you should do all the time. Now, where most people fall guilty is that they only start recruiting and start looking for people when they need someone. Well, if you're doing it at that time, you're too late. And I would dare say way too late. Because most people will start looking at hiring when they get to a point that says, I can just no longer keep up, where everybody's working at 110%, and now you can't keep up at all. Well, that means you're way too late. You've waited way too long to hire. The hiring process should have started way before then. Because here's the problem you're going to have. We are now backed up. We are now way overloaded with work. We need someone now. Or maybe somebody left, which puts us in this position, regardless of the reason. Now what happens is you got to put an ad out. So if you're going to put an ad out, it'll probably take you 1 or 2 days to just drop the ad if you don't have one already made up. You put an ad out, you're probably going to have to wait a couple of weeks for people to apply. 2 weeks goes by, now you do the interviews. And if you're like us, chances are you're going to have a little bit of time in scheduling them all in. So it may take you another week to go through all the candidates to correspond their calendars with your own. So now we're at the end of week 3. You've done all the interviews. You've now selected the candidate. You phone the candidate up and you tell them, look, we would like to offer you a position, assuming they accept. Now you've got another 2 to 3 weeks for them to give their resignation and all of that. And it's not uncommon for them to ask, can I take a week off before I start? So now you got a 2 to 3 week waiting period, plus possibly another week for them to just take a small vacation before starting off another job. We are now at a 2-month period. So we're all already overwhelmed, and we're spending all this time doing the interviews and all of that over and above our current workload, which is already too high, and it's 2 months before the person starts. Now, anybody who's hired people will tell you, how long does it take before they become productive? And most people will say, well, if you're lucky, 3 months to 6 months. And in most cases, it's almost a year before they are fully productive. So now you're sitting at how many months? You cannot start hiring and doing the process when you need them. You start before then. So as soon as you see that we are now getting close to working at 100% capacity, now's the time to look through your filing cabinet, through all of the resumes that you've picked up throughout the year to start the hiring process. One of the things that I've said over and over and over again is you should always be running your business, your accounting practice or bookkeeping practice at about 80% capacity. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is it ensures your clients are getting tremendous service if you're only working at 80% capacity. But the other thing that's important is that you got to remember, if you hire someone so you're getting now closer to 90%, you got to remember that by the time the person is hired And the least bit productive, you're going to be working already at 110 if your growth is fairly substantial. Plus, the other problem, if you're already working at 100%, where are you ever going to find the time to train that person? Whereas if you hire them while you're still at 85, for example, then you've got this 15% time where you can invest in that employee. Now, that is so important because not only is investing properly in your new employees for their learning important for them to learn more quickly, but I say you're developing a better relationship because nobody wants to start in a job where nobody has time to train me. And I've heard that as being a complaint I don't know how many times from people who get hired and dislike their employer because they just did not have the time to properly train them. So training is how they're going to evaluate the quality of the job. So if you don't have time to train them, you're likely going to lose them before you even get started. So hire while you're still at 80 to 85% capacity.